What up, y'all? I know not everyone feels like listening to a 40+ minute poll plans video for the month, so I broke it up to abbreviate my thoughts in a more easily digestible way. I know half of y'all, though, ain't subscribed, so go ahead and do that. Like the video, leave a comment with what you think about the upcoming content and your plans as well. And if you want to see the whole video, I'll be providing a link to that as well. Check that out for sure. Thanks a million, and now let's get into what you're really here for, alright? Rude's Lost Chapter. Yuffie is the headliner here. She's getting the goods. Let's go over that kit real quick. First off, she's getting a rework. Skill 1 is now at 90% gravity. That's pretty good. Brave gain into double HP attack with splash. 20% splash, and you steal 2 buffs now instead of 1. Very good. Skill 2 now inflicts 4 more debuffs, and they're pretty small. Physical, magic attack down, turn rate down, and poison. Just there to be annoying. Her I Brave, M Brave, attack down, and defense down also got upgraded to 40% each, which is pretty significant. It's a guaranteed hit, it gets more overflow, and Yuffie has a Brave gain before the actual attack. Not the most impactful rework. She dispels better now, better gravity, and she floods the enemy with more random generic whack debuffs. Her LD in typical Final Fantasy VII fashion does a bunch of Brave plus HP attacks, and it grants her a new buff, and it puts the new debuff on the enemies. This frame debuff, which she has via debuff start on her LD boards, is attack down, defense down, speed down, and M Brave sap based on how many debuffs are active on the enemy. So best case, 8 debuffs are active on the enemy, including Yuffie's framed debuffs, and this is why they gave her a bunch of debuffs that are random on her skill too. It's 40% attack down, 40% defense down, and 24% speed down, and 24% M Brave sap, which I think is the highest M Brave sap in the game. So this means in total, Yuffie has 50% I Brave and M Brave down, and 90% attack down, and 100% defense down, provided you get her armor. What? I actually just learned that. That's actually crazy. Wow. Anyways, her Brave and HP Plus gets updated. Brave attack actually HP attacks and batteries the party, and HP attack has splash damage on it, also batteries the party afterwards. So good, good buttons all around, but I don't think you'll be pressing them over skills necessarily. She also gets 30% more attack aura from her limit breaks on her LD, which is actually pretty decent. I think it puts her at 80% attack up for the party. That's pretty solid. She gets a free skill after using LD, and I don't think I mentioned it, but the LD actually dispels 1 buff from the enemies if they have it, so she'll always be putting this debuff on no matter what. She also gets a personal Brave and HP damage up 5% per every debuff on the enemy. So in total, if the enemy has 8 debuffs active, that's 40% Brave and HP damage up for Yuffie, and she gives a refund to the party based on how much HP damage she did. I think Lael's BT does the same thing, I'm not quite sure, but it does provide a layer of safety to the party. So her high armor at base is, like I said earlier, tactics, debuff armors, and that's really good for her because you can stack debuffs, and her high armor plus split is party HP split, which is interesting. She does not have any party HP damage modifiers, so this isn't exactly great on her, but it could be useful provided you're running her with people who provide it. The best thing from her calls is to inflict her LD debuff provided you've maxed it out, but it's also decent as a pocket dispel. Base call dispels 2, LD call dispels 1. As for reruns, Yuffie reruns down the line when Balthier gets his LD boards on Dragon's chapter, Act 3, Chapter 5, Part 1, which is a way off. Now for Rude, he didn't quite get too much, just LD boards. He gets more M Brave for himself, he gets more overflow for the party, and when his HP is at 100%, he gets a personal Brave and HP damage up 20%. Similar to Reno, I guess. Similar condition, I mean. Wait, no, that's not what I mean. I mean they got 20% Brave and HP damage up based on what they did. Whatever, don't. Rude also reruns strangely on the same event as Yuffie, Act 3, Chapter 5, Part 1, but he's on Jagrin's banner. Don't read too much into it. Yeah, that's it. His LD call is cool on paper, but I don't see when you'd actually be using it, but it just gives the party his LD effect of converting the overheals into bravery. Now into my analysis. Practically, you'd be using Yuffie for the debuffs now that I know she has freaking 100% defense down with her armor. That's crazy. She's got battery, she's got decent damage, so solid stuff all around. Dispel and cleanse, nice combination. Kind of that 3rd slot character, I'd say. There's a lot of strength in that high defense and attack down, although it could get problematic trying to juggle those generics. It could definitely also be very beneficial at the same time. As for weaknesses, she's still not putting out that much damage, so you need to, she's not going to be primary damage healer, but that's not a big deal overall. She's still got a solid kit in its entirety. G2 is useful on Transcendence 4, obviously her own fight, and if you're having trouble with Yuna's fight previously, you can go back and use Yuffie there. Although she can't throw back the debuff, she'll still be valuable for the cleanse periodically. That defense down in Transcendence 4 is going to be very, very handy. Now I understand why people liked using her there. It makes perfect sense now in hindsight. I know she's popular in Transcendence 6 for similar reasons. The debuffing, there's a debuff condition in the last wave that Yuffie can help fulfill. Outside of that, Yuffie can pretty much go anywhere. I mean, there's a dedicated JP Saga Yuffie guy. I forget what he's called, but he's been running Yuffie in everything and Rude's the exact same, bro. He's a little bit better, but nothing groundbreaking. As for the fight, the orb is a sap orb. It's the triple bosses again, but they don't have as much toxic mechanics as the Lufenia on release, thankfully. But this fight gets a little tricky because they need to take a turn, provided it is possible, let me get this out of the way, it is possible to just damage race them down and not have to deal with the orb. At thresholds, however, they're gonna throw up a debuff that prevents you from gaining brave, so you gotta get rid of that. But you can actually get around this completely because it's not a guaranteed debuff, so you can actually, I believe you can either dodge it, or you can just use debuff immunity like Aerith or Lena or Ignis. If this debuff is up though, it's a freeze, so you're not going to do any damage at all. This stage is easily the least threatening of the 3 fights in Unicycle. This actually becomes the beat up stage, the test stage, so go nuts with this, really. The sap orb isn't terribly difficult, neither is anything the boss does. I remember I ran Leon on one of the fights, or I re-ran it with like Leon and Aerith and somebody else, and it was hilarious because they just couldn't hit me and they couldn't debuff me. So either bring debuff evasion, Aerith, Ignis, Lena could possibly even work. AoEs are great, Squall, Strago. Get rid of the debuffs with Yuna, Yuffie. I don't know who else throw out. Oh, Balthier. Duh, Balthier should be good here too. And just throw a sap up. You can do that via call and just let them get turns occasionally, or you can just race it down. Tons of options here. Not a very restrictive fight. My plans for the event are to pull Yuffie. I will have a lot of tickets by this banner, and I'm going to unleash the horde of tickets at her. I got robbed in JP. I think I went 700 deep and didn't get her and gave up. And then I went like, what was it, 500 after on Barrett and didn't get him either. And I was capped on tickets, and I went from capped with tickets in the mailbox to 0 with nothing to show for it. It felt really bad, but I really want to get them both this time around, and I'm gonna blue them both because Yuffie became one of my favorites after the 7 remake DLC. So yeah, Yuffie hyped through the building, through the roof. Knowing that she has those strong debuffs now is making her even more appealing to use. As for the fight, I'm definitely running Yuffie because she'll be my new unit to play around with. I want to run Sephiroth because 3 targets. Maybe I'll run Warrior of Light again for higher HP caps because that would be triple blue across the board, and I could see that being very entertaining. In JP, I ran Yuna, Warrior Light, and Agrius, and that was also a triple blue team at this point, I believe, and I kind of just ran through them, not really having to deal with anything because Agrius did a ton of AoEs, and then Yuna's burst effect being up. It was kind of disgusting. Very excited for Yuffie. I mean, I did end up getting her on Balthier's banner in JP, but I didn't use her at all, so now I'll be able to use her when she releases, and it should be a good time. And that's it. Hope y'all enjoyed the clip and found it informative. I do try my best, generally. If you haven't already done so, please like the video, comment what you think and your plans, and make sure to subscribe to my channel for more great content. The full video is linked, so check that out as well. Continue showing love. Good luck, everybody. Peace.